Welcome back to the Intelligent Builder podcast, sponsored by Plutus Agents. We actually waited to do this episode in January because there were some moving pieces that Dave wanted to get finalized first, and they're big. So today he's here as the new CEO of Hometown Restyling, and the company is now 100% employee owned. So we'll break down what that means pretty soon. But today I'm with Dave Wageman, the CEO of Hometown Restyling, a nearly 40-year remodeler serving Eastern Iowa. He came up through the trades, led sales, became a partial owner. So we'll talk about why they did it now, how it works operationally, and the playbook they're planning to run in 2026. So Dave, it's great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks, Owen.
Of course, yeah. So let's kind of start with the compressed story. So I ran through it a little bit. You started in the field, got into sales, then sales manager, then ownership, now CEO. So what are two lessons that the field taught you that you now bring into leadership?
Yeah, I think everybody has their own experience, and just knowing what it feels like to follow a good leader and know what it's like to have somebody that either micromanages or just has a style that doesn't fit. So just trying to meet people where they're at, I think, is the big one.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. What about any sales instincts that you kind of bring to leadership that maybe help or hurt the way you kind of sit in the CEO seat now?
Yeah, I think that we talk a lot with, both when I'm talking to my sales reps, but really the entire company is like, you gotta have customer ears, customer eyes. So like they're hearing and seeing something from their perspective, and you really got to just take that in consideration when you're interacting in all the different ways.
Yeah, got you. So kind of staying customer centric, always having them in mind when you're operating. I know I said earlier you asked to wait till January because there were some things in motion, and now it's 100% employee owned, and you stepped in the CEO. So why was that decision made now?
Yeah, the previous ownership group was a group of 5 long-term employees, and the nice thing is we've always had really committed employees, but we wanted to make sure the legacy of the business lived on. We were, approached by private equity multiple different times. We considered different structures to, again, continue the legacy of the business, and this just seemed like it was the best option for us at the time.
Okay, cool. What are some of those KPIs that you think that this new model is supposed to move first? Is it more on the retention rate side because of the employee ownership, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that we've got a great culture. We always have. I think that it just doubles down. It helps to reward the employees that have helped build the business and allow them to be more empowered to control their financial future.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess it's a little bit like investing in a way that I can
Yeah.
see how that makes. Yeah. So I know a few minutes ago before we started rolling this, you talked about a little bit of hiring you're looking to do. So in terms of hiring, do you think that, you'll be partial owner moves the needle a little bit more? And which roles do you think it moves the biggest? Which has the biggest lift?
Yeah. So part of the transition, the group of 5, we'll call it, is the previous ownership group that had bought out the founding owner back in 2020. The group of 5 were all in different stages of their careers, but most of them outside of myself were on the tail end of their career, with several of them that their retirements were looking to be more immediate. So we've got, one over the next course of the couple of years. And we wanted to make sure we just planned for that well. So yeah, we're looking to hire primarily right now my replacement. So I stepped into the CE role, and we're looking to replace the sales manager. And we know that there'll be other positions that are going to open up, both due to growth, but also due to some of those retirements.
Gotcha. Since you are kind of replacing your role and looking for a sales manager, and I don't want to say most because I'm not entirely sure, but most of your career has been in sales, right? On the sales side of the business. So what do you really look for when you're hiring for that kind of position?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're looking for somebody that's just going to be committed, long-term minded, and looking for growth. The idea that, there's a lot of great sales reps out there, and, this role that we're looking to hire will be dual. It'll be somebody that's still out in the field selling. We believe that's important. So they just, still have that, again, the perspective of the sales rep that they're managing. They know what they're going through on a daily basis, but also somebody that's, again, that's going to be able to have the perspective of more of an owner role. Like how do we move the needle as a business, not just sales? So again, we know that we're looking for something very unique, and we're really excited because we've got a large pool of great applicants that we're continuing to work through.
Yeah, that's great. And kind of going off that, everyone has a piece of the business now. What are some behaviors that you kind of expect more of now that people have a little bit of ownership there? Is it just like ownership thinking, more cost awareness, or communication values?
Yeah, it ranges everything from just having more accountability for each other. So, lack of better words, of just like a self policing. So, like, when you see somebody that's not doing something that's ideal for the business, if it's work ethic or material waste or whatever it may be, that everybody's supporting each other to do what's best for, again, the group, now that everybody is an owner.
Yeah, I could see that. So what about the mechanics of the business? Has anything changed under this model? Anything different? Like any changes if, say, you hired somebody a few weeks ago and then you kind of transition into this model? Are they still under this new umbrella?
Yeah.
Does it change decision structure at all?
It won't change anything dramatically initially. A lot more of the change will happen as those retirements happen. We're kind of phasing into more of a structure we're gonna follow EOS, if you're familiar with EOS. So EOS will help us kind of guide the transition. We loosely followed EOS previously, but we're gonna be a little bit more structured with EOS. And that will again help that transition from 5 guys sitting in a room to make a decision to, again, a structured decision making process.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you talk a little bit more about EOS and how you're planning to implement that over time?
Yep. So we kind of zoomed out and said, hey, there's certain things of EOS that we were working with and they were beneficial, but we weren't taking full advantage of the different aspects of EOS. So instead of trying to just modify little by little, we basically did a reset and started over as if we didn't know anything about EOS. And we've relaunched with an implementer here in Cedar Rapids.
Okay, cool. So since all the changes obviously aren't immediate because that would destroy everything, what are some of the changes that you know, or I guess are most likely to happen as you continue to transition into this new model of the business? Say at the end of 2026, what does that look like?
So we know one retirement will happen at the end of 2026. That retirement will make a slight shift. That shift's already kind of built in, though. We've already got an assistant manager for that manager that's going to be exiting. So that one we kind of know is happening, and most all the planning's already done for that. It should go pretty smooth. As we roll into the following year, our current president looks to retire at the end of 2027. So we'll start kind of gearing up to fill that role. It may be a combination of things. It may be me filling both roles for a period of time. It may be us promoting from within. We've got a few candidates that we're very interested in internally, but we'll probably also be looking externally to fill this position at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're kind of in an inflection point in the business in a way where you have a lot of retirees and you're transitioning to new business models and a new CEO, which is you. What about in terms of systems? What do you have in place to make sure that things don't fall apart when these people leave? I know you have some replacements lined up, but what do you have in terms of systems to maintain everything smoothly?
Yeah. So again, that's part of why we decided, like even before we announced that we did go ESOP, the 100% employee owned, we decided we're going to double down on EOS. EOS will help put those structures in place. But in all reality, we just have a good culture and a lot of great people. There's a lot of respect and history within the employee group. We don't have a ton of turnover. We generally talk about if we can keep people on for a full year, that they're generally lifers. It's not like we don't have anybody ever leave us, but the people that choose to stay here are generally committed early on.
Okay, so the people really hold the business together. So can you talk to me more about the culture? Like what really is the thing that molds everyone together in that way?
Yeah, I think we're the kind of the perfect combination and a great size for the culture we're at right now. I think the culture is kind of ever changing, but also, you're looking at improving through different systems and aspects and benefits we're able to add to employees. And as you grow, you're able to upgrade systems and structures and facilities. But I think that just one of the big things is we've got a lot of long-term employees that each take an individual leadership role. And that's one of the things that just people is such an important aspect. And all of our people are leaders. And in every action they do, they're leading in a positive or a negative way. And we're just, again, hoping that this makes them choose that positive route as much as possible and really step forward. I mean, everybody's got ideas, just the leadership doesn't have, they're not the exclusive idea builders. So we're really encouraging our entire group when they see something that could, help the business improve in any aspect, that, bring that idea to the table and we're going to discuss it and see how we can implement it.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's the ideal workforce you want in a business like that. So I guess people won't be the risk here, but what's the biggest risk you were thinking about or debating before pulling the trigger on this new transition? And what guardrail have you put in to manage that?
I think the biggest risk, when you remove yourself from where we're at now, knowing what we know now, the biggest risk was just how was the group going to receive this new information? Was this a positive to them? Did they understand it? And really, for the most part, we were really excited about our announcement and how well the team received it. And there was a slight applause and cheering, and the group was excited to hear how this was going to again benefit them in the future and help tie the team together.
Yeah, that's great. So everyone received it very well, I'm assuming, and it's been good so far.
Yep, it's short. I mean, we're early on. We know there's still a lot of education that's needed for the entire team to help them understand. But yeah, we're already starting to plan for our stock price announcement. So stock price will get announced once a year, and that's something that we're looking to celebrate every year annually, and have that be something that everybody's looking forward to on a yearly basis.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very exciting. How big is the team now?
We're right around 60 employees. And again, we look to grow as part of this ESOP. It really, I mean, if I back up just a little bit, the ESOP took a lot of energy out of the leadership team. So we weren't able to be as much in growth mode as we were trying to transition and make that plan. So now that we've got that behind us, it takes a large lift off of us. So we're able to get geared back up for growth.
Yeah, definitely. So let's jump into the growth mode then. In terms of go to market, is that strategy changing at all under this new model? Or I guess I'll back it up a little bit. Where do most of your leads come from, and what is your typical job mix?
Yeah, so we offer just about everything. We kind of joke, no roofing, no landscaping, but everything in between. So we do window siding, sunrooms, kitchens, bathrooms, decks, doors, pergolas, patio covers, just the whole array. Pretty much anything you can do inside the house, we're offering. And really, when you start talking about lead flow, the large majority of our leads are coming from TV advertisement that drives people to our website, but we are really associated with a lot of different avenues. We're set up with several different marketing agencies that help us with internet clicks, as far as just social media. We've actually hired on a new social media gal that is running all of and managing all of our social media. Should be dual role of management and content creator. So we're really excited to have that piece on and look to see how that's going to grow lead flow. But we're also associated with some lead aggregators that are developing leads themselves and pushing them over to us. And, we're able to handle those in an effective manner.
Yeah, that's very exciting. That's something I talk to my clients and just contractors in general a lot about is the thought leadership aspect. So having your content out there and just creating content, no matter what it is, really, you can split test, do whatever you want, but just getting your name out there is super important because I'm not sure where the statistic is from, but over 80% of clients and buyers will do extensive research digitally before they engage with a business. So that's really cool. You got that going now.
Yeah, we're really excited about just the ideas that this is bringing, because we've really focused on our core audience, and what we're missing, I think, is our future audience, and we're going to be able to start making impressions on the future homeowner and the future customer now, and start building some of that confidence years in advance. And again, like you say, just getting in front of them is so important, so they see and understand and respect the name. So that's really one of the big goals of this year, is to kind of get that started and that ball rolling.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what is your current, I guess, most reliable or consistent customer base?
Yeah, I mean, our customer base, I mean, I think the most consistent is 40 and up. I think that if you really start dialing in, you're talking about retirees often, or people that are getting close to retirement, oftentimes families, but kids are out of the house type of situation. That's probably like the most core to the audience. But when we again look at all the different product lines we offer, I mean, the first time home buyer is generally not adding on a massive addition and doing a whole house remodel. So we also do one window installs. So like, I mean, the range of project is pretty dramatic. And in all reality, we offer handyman services that does projects, as low as a couple $100 a trip. Like, anywhere from a couple $100 to, I think our most recent, large project was pushing $500,000. So it's a big difference in customer base, and we're really just trying to serve the entire group of our territory or community in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I think that's pretty unique, honestly. Kind of doing everything under the sun, besides roofing and landscaping. I don't see that much personally, just based on people I've talked to. So that's really cool. What about a favorite job type? Maybe the one that really helps the margins, or just the one you get the most?
Yeah, I mean, Windows is probably still. I mean, it's what the business was built off of, so it's by far our revenue leader, our profit leader, the most consistent as far as number of projects. The tricky thing with Windows is it's exciting from a business owner in those numbers aspect, but it's not the most exciting when it comes to that social media and advertising what we can do. Everybody wants to see the beauty photos, so those tend to be the kitchens and sunrooms and big. Those are kind of the wow factors that are always fun to show off.
Yeah, I could see how windows aren't as interesting to look at and advertise. What about as you kind of look into 2026, what's the thesis on your growth? Are you trying to expand like geographically, or is it quality products, or just maybe compounding efficiency now that you're starting this new model?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of all the above. No new products that are on the horizon for us right now. Again, we like to create a division with a lot of planning it and in place to make sure things go smooth. It's not like we've had all of these different departments and offerings the entire time, but when we do bring something on, it's very strategic and a lot of effort goes into making sure it's going to go smooth. So nothing right now. As far as geographically growing, we've had conversations of open up additional offices. We feel like we're just best suited to serve a little bit larger geographic area out of our current office. It's what's best for the customer. It's what's best for our employees. So we're going to stick with that for now. Although we do just tend to just creep a little bit further out in how far we're willing to go. As again, you find more efficiency and look for growth. You got to find that growth somewhere and just reaching a larger audience as part of that.
Yeah, so just kind of expanding the radius a little bit,
Yep.
not necessarily opening up a new shop. Gotcha, cool. So let's see. I talked to a woman that just like bought a remodeling business back in July. She was a guest on the podcast last week. And I talked to her a little bit about the economic conditions that have been going on, this past year, and I guess moving into 2026 too. Have you seen that, like, tariffs or anything in the real estate market affecting the way you have conversations with potential clients?
Yeah, I mean, this past year was very interesting. I mean, we've been in business for 40 years, so we've seen a lot of ups and downs in the economy and the market. We're semi isolated for a couple of different reasons. Number one, in Eastern Iowa, the Midwest, we seem to be, just insulated a little bit from some of these conversations, maybe even more so where we're at locally here. But, when those conversations start happening on the national landscape, people still hear about it. It still impacts us, but it's generally you know, when's this going to finally impact us? And then when you look at us as a business and our reach of the different product lines we offer, if people are not buying homes because of, different things that are happening in the market, they're generally reinvesting in their homes. And then when they are buying homes, they're looking to make improvements on the home they're trying to sell or the new home they're moving into. So if it's, we kind of joke, nobody needs a sunroom, everybody wants a sunroom. So it's one of those things like when sunrooms aren't the hottest item, there's something else that kind of fills in for us. So each of our different revenue streams, kind of fluctuates year to year. But yeah, when you start talking about like the politics that, kind of was, at a peak right now, really in this past year, it seems like things can be very hectic. We just try to pull people back into understanding that it's not the first time that politics has been wild. It's not the last time it'll happen. But the things that they want to do on their house aren't going to get done unless we really start moving forward on something. And we try to earn their trust in like offering a starter package of some sort. Can we earn your business with one window at a time? Can we, consider one revenue stream of ours versus all of them at once? Like some people have ideas that they want to do all of these things at once, which we're capable of doing, but it's just a lot easier for customers to take on one piece at a time, both from a trust standpoint and a financial standpoint. And then once you have that trust, it's a lot easier to start having the bigger conversations.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense in terms of remodeling can be sometimes an inverse relationship to the real estate market because they'll be focused more on fixing up their house. I see you offer like financing. I know financing is more of an up and coming big thing in HVAC because of material costs. Everything is very expensive now. So how does financing work for you in terms of the things you offer clients?
Yeah, we try to offer a wide array of options. We generally look at financing as just another tool that we have available. And it really is just one of those things that ultimately we don't care how the customer pays us. And we just want to make these projects available to the customers sooner than later. And when customers saying, hey, I need to wait a year, we have a 1 year financing. When they say, hey, this is a big enough project, it's going to take me 5 years, we offer a 5 year financing. We can stretch it out as long as we need, but I think this is a great conversation because, it's just one of those things that when people got really used to, the mortgage rates being down at 2.5, 3%, and then they increased so dramatically, they weren't willing to, buy a new house. So again, they're stuck in their house in a sense. And then we're able to come in and offer financing at either 0% or low interest, depending on the situation, and get them to improve the existing home, maybe make it a little bit closer to the home they really want to buy, or make it ready for them to sell when the time comes. So I think financing's just been a really, really powerful tool for us, and it's something that's been very beneficial for our customers.
Yeah, it's immensely helpful in terms of the business because you get much higher close rates. Your customers are much more comfortable with the purchase too. And sometimes it can help with the ticket size, how much money you get coming in too. Have you seen, does that help you a little bit? Do you do any, there's financing and there's leasing. So you don't really do any of the leasing side of things, or do you?
We do not. We do not. Most of ours is all closed end financing. It's designed to finance that specific project, but you're absolutely right. When they come in looking for one thing and then find out they can get approved for more money, that allows them to make a decision to take advantage of this financing. And again, we tell them all the time, we believe this financing is going to be available tomorrow, but we can't promise it. So if you're able to take advantage of it now and get locked in, it's a great scenario.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing in the sales workflow that can definitely help you. So in terms of growth and that you can really focus on it now that you got those big things out of the way. What do you think is one bottleneck that if you were to remove it, the momentum would double going into 2026? I know you're looking at hiring people and you have some retirees, but what's one thing that you think you would change and it would just double your momentum?
Yeah, kind of on both ends of the business. I mean, leads are hard to come by. They're more and more expensive. It's just a part of doing business, and being very strategic and maximizing your ROI in that category is going to be a big focus of this year. For us to have growth, we need growth at the top end of the funnel. But then on the flip side is like if we were to see double growth, something crazy, and just be able to double the business overnight, where's that labor going to come from? I think the labor problem is going to become more and more of an issue. And that's just, again, one of the reasons why we doubled down on the employee ownership is number one, to keep our existing employees, but the attraction of future employees. And I think that, the hands-on labor, you're seeing it everywhere from, the youth, they're just not as interested to be working with their hands. I think there's a little bit of a pushback against that now. We're seeing just a little bit more of an emphasis, and, the national landscape that knows this issue's coming, but we're probably going to have a gap of time where there is a shortage of labor, where the generations that this was the go-to answer are going to retire, and there's going to be that gap of time where a generation or two did not choose to go down this route. And it's probably going to see an increase in wages in those categories, but also a demand that is just, through the roof. So having good people come on board and then keep them on board is going to be a priority for many businesses.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to follow up as well, is if your momentum doubled, could you handle that? So, like you're saying, there's a gap in the trades, in the people that are working, and I believe it's getting close to 50, the average tradesman or contractor. So it's very smart in that way. I actually didn't even realize that now that you have a little bit of ownership from all your employees, it's a great incentive to have more people come in once you begin to really grow and expand. How are you looking in terms of, I guess, youth in the company now with 60 people?
Yeah, I mean, we've had this in mind for the last few years, so we've done a pretty good job of bringing on, another generation. We have a great partnership with a local community college, and then in all reality, we really focus on employee referrals. So if employees can find friends and family members and people that are like-minded that want to work with each other, that's just going to build again this culture of team and family and all these things that are just going to increase over time. So that's something that we'll again continue working through to make sure that we're getting the most out of those. And we know there will be struggles with hiring at times, but we're very confident in getting through those struggles.
Yeah, absolutely. You seem very fit. The culture is great at where you're at. And I was talking with um, a guy named Doug Winston. He's very popular in the contracting tradesman space, and he's starting his own kind of nonprofit called Trade Mentor to get the message out there that it's a great career path to get into. And he was telling me that there's different types of apprenticeship programs, even in the white collar jobs now, not just the trade. So, in your company, are there any type of apprenticeship models that you kind of use to help people to help in the training?
Yeah, so again, that's tied back to that partnership we have the local community college. We bring a lot of people on. It's not ideal to bring on part-time help that are going through their college experience because primarily it's a scheduling conflict. But we put that aside. We know it's an issue. We'd rather have that issue and have an opportunity to get these people to stay on board. We generally have a handshake agreement. Hey, we'll bring you on board and take on this extra scheduling conflict, but we kind of ask for a, commitment to work with us for so long after that. There's no legal documents, not something that we'd be upset if somebody wasn't able to hold true to it, but just that kind of process has been successful for us. And we see it being more and more successful in the fact that we're utilizing those same employees that have went through that program, go back to the program and be the recruiters for us. So they're the ones saying, "Hey, we were just there in your shoes, and this is what worked really well for us." And it just seems to be exponential.
Yeah, that's a great kind of hiring funnel to have in place, the partnership with the community college. That's a very smart idea. And that will help too with the gap that we're seeing. So let's say stepping back a little bit, looking to the next, say, 3 to 5 years, what do you want Hometown Restyling to be? Where do you want it to be? Is there some concrete goals you're looking for?
I think that it's really easy, when you get that question to focus on numbers. And we could say, hey, we want revenue growth, we want profit growth, we want, a different additional geographic, footprint. We want you can have all those goals, but I really just think that our biggest goals right now is to have all of those things come true via the employees buying in, the customer base, seeing what we're doing and understanding that we're doing it a different way. We're not just an average contractor. We're a full service remodeler. We take the extra steps, go the extra mile to make sure customers are happy. We live and operate with integrity. It's just all of those things that we want to make sure are just more and more felt and realized from a surface level.
Yeah, I love that answer. That's a great answer. It's a little bit different than what I get normally. I'll ask you one more question though, because you've had such massive change recently, and I know it was recent, but what advice would you give yourself earlier, say right before stepping into the CEO seat? And if you don't think you have a good enough answer there, just advice simply to anyone that's going to step in the driver's seat of a company.
Yeah, I think the advice I'd give, I mean, it's a great question. I think that there's a lot of different ways you could answer this. And I think that I just boil it back to relationships. We're all going through, our perspective of life and making sure we put ourselves in their shoes. And if that's, my business partners, my newest employees, my customers, like just trying to understand like what they're going through and then applying that. And again, not looking to use anybody. I'm looking to promote people and let them get what they want out of life. If that's my employees, I want them to have successful, prosperous, work life. If it's my customers, I want them to have this dream project come true at an affordable rate. Like, I mean, all of those things, when you take a lot of the KPIs out of the goals, the KPIs will just naturally happen.
That's great advice because everything needs to be more relationship based. I mean, especially in the industry that you're in, but just in general because of the advances in technology and there's AI. So keeping everything very relational is going to be super great for the business. So, well, thank you, Dave. This has been awesome. I appreciate you walking us through your journey and being open about these big shifts you've had going on. But before we close out, where should people connect with you? Anywhere you're most active, website or LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're going to be more active on just about all the different platforms. I think we're looking to launch TikTok and all the different little avenues that we can. I'm primarily most active on LinkedIn. Feel free to look me up, Dave Wageman on LinkedIn. We've got a great website. Check us out at hometownrestyling.com. And we're always improving that. But yeah, I mean, feel free to just reach out.
Awesome. Well, I'll link some information below so it's easy to find you. But for everyone listening, thank you for tuning in to The Intelligent Builder. If this episode was valuable, make sure to share it with another builder, tradesman, or founder in your circle. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Owen.